So hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Real Cyprus brought to you by Domenica Group. I'm Alexandros Tsangaridis.
I'm Kyriakos Charalambous.
And today we have Natalia Kardash with us. Natalia, welcome to the studio and thank you for your time.
So Natalia, before we start, because I know Alexandros has a few questions to interrogate you with, just to bring everybody on the same plane, could you please very, very quickly talk to you about yourself and your experience so far in the business?
A month ago, I celebrated 26 years in Cyprus. So every year, 12th of September, this is the day when I came, I celebrate because Cyprus was a good news for me. It's a place that I call home for the last 26 years. Here in Cyprus, I was always in the center of everything which is happening because I'm an editor-in-chief, a publisher of a Russian newspaper, and traveling with presidents of Cyprus for official trips, organizing community life, translating news, creating news, making events. It was an interesting part of my life, more than 1/4 of a century. To add to this, that I'm a publisher, event organizer, and I love teaching. So
Nice.
now, this period of time, a lot of Russian-speaking people want to learn about Cyprus because they have these exams for their citizenship. Yes, so that's the course that we're teaching now. But every time we find something else.
No, it's very interesting. And over the course of these 26 years, you saw a lot of changes, obviously, in Cyprus, some of them good, some of them bad. But overall, how would you, let's say, if somebody would ask you to rate or describe the evolution of Cyprus within the past 2.5 decades, what would you tell them? Do you think we are in an upward trend, downward trend? And the second bit of the question, do you think it's a nation that is learning from the mistakes that it did in the past, or do you see the same patterns repeating themselves?
Listen, I like the flexibility of Cyprus.
Okay.
Not only during these 26 years that I witnessed myself, I also made a PhD research of my subject was presidents of Cyprus. So I learned very well the history of Cyprus from 1960s and even before that to today. And I can say that Cyprus, they say lucky, but I think it's a destiny. And it's also related to people who are here. Cyprus is always lucky to find a new way when it seems that everything is a disaster. So if you look at the history of Cyprus, in 1963, two communities had a disaster. And then somehow they learned to live together for some more years. In 1974, we had a disaster. But next year already, as a country, we could accommodate 200,000 people who didn't have any house, and they were settled. They start to have normal houses slowly. They found their place. And then you remember how Cyprus was adapting when the taxes at the time was 42.5%. And then we had the power of will of one of the presidents who said, okay, for international business, not 42.5, for 25, just 10 times. And this opened a new era to Cyprus. Was it like this? And then when the Eastern Bloc collapsed and Serbian people came to Cyprus. Oh, and I didn't mention Lebanese in 1975, yes. So Serbian came and other people from that Western Union, so Eastern Europe, Cyprus, start to learn how to serve their interests. And then Soviet Union collapsed. And Russian people did not have any experience in working internationally because Soviet Union was a country that is self-sufficient. It didn't need anything. So when people wanted to trade with the world, they did not know how. What happened to Cyprus? You were telling about whether Cypriot can adapt or not. They can because Cypriot lawyers, accountants and auditors, they adapted and they understood what this new Russian community needs. New because in the Soviet Union, I was born in the Soviet Union, we didn't have private business. It was after Perestroika that we started to have something on our own. Everyone worked for the government. So the Soviet mentality, people, when Soviet Union collapsed, now Russia, Ukraine, Belarus, other countries, they didn't know how to make international business. And that was Cyprus. That showed to them a way how to make it, how to work with the whole world. And then, crisis by crisis, all around us, Cyprus was always finding a way to accommodate the needs. Look, this geopolitics, I don't want to discuss it today, but what happened when we had geopolitical crisis, Russia, Ukraine, Israel,
Israel.
Arab countries? What happens? Cyprus is adapting.
Mhm.
Cyprus is welcoming those people who come and they are in need. And Cyprus is finding a way how to serve these people.
And it's even perceived by all of them as the safe haven to be. So it's not just it's adapting. Other people see it as well, to the extent that they choose it to be either their permanent home or at least their transition home, or even like a place that they can always find peace and safety. And it's interesting because we have said so many times in this podcast that one of the key, let's say, advantages of Cypriots, of this country in general, is how agile we are, how flexible we are. And it's, if you see historically all the let's say cultures that manage to survive in time, it's actually the ones that you could describe them as survivors, right? Take the Chinese, take the Greeks. One key element of all of them that they share is flexibility, is the way to be able to adapt so you can go to the next phase, which might be good, might be bad, but find a way to adapt.
Also, entrepreneurial spirit. In many countries, people were trying to do what Cyprus is doing, but somehow Cyprus could manage it. It's a hospitality, yes, so people feel welcome here. It's flexibility that you meant, but it's also entrepreneurial, to see where there is an opportunity and to use this opportunity. It works in your property sector, it works in any other sector in this island.
Yeah. Because like in the property sector is something that we face daily. If you consider how many people from how many different cultures and countries they come with different sets of expectations and things that they are used to, and we have to kind of serve them. And sometimes it's in a very short window of time. For example, a new wave of clients from Poland, for example, is arriving now in Paphos, especially, and you need to be able to change the way that you design, think, sell, present your
accommodate those
property
needs.
or your product in general, because it's the same in hospitality, as you mentioned, in services, to be able to adapt. And that is one of the things that I think we're doing very well. There's the private sector.
And this international flavor, the mix of people that we have here, so many nationalities. One of my events were back to 2007. It was an international children festival.
Okay.
And to be fair to all nationalities, I wanted, of course, not only Cypriot children, not only Russian children. I have a Russian newspaper, so it was obvious. But I was trying to find communities and children of different nationalities. We ended up having concerts from children of 30 different nationalities. And it was not difficult to find them and to somehow to bring them together. Now I'm sure there are more than 30, but I was impressed that in Limassol, children from so many countries of this origin, background, so many countries, they live and they are friends. They go to the same schools. They go to the same dancing school, singing whatever choir, so they are part of the same team. I think it's also very important.
Yeah, of course. It's a very positive change in the fabric of society. It's one that brings evolution, brings improvement. But Alexander, sorry, I know you are itching to start the interrogation.
Just was gonna say that I had a conversation recently with some people in the marketing department of a private school. Let's say it's one of the best in Paphos, and they counted 45 nationalities. 45 nationalities. Can you imagine? In a small town like Paphos.
Yes. And this is really interesting because it makes children to be rich in experiences.
Yeah, of course.
My children graduated school in Limassol, and at the school they learned 4 languages. So my daughter decided that okay, she wants to learn some more languages. She knows 6. So when you know so many
My
languages, you can talk to a person in his language, but you also know the culture,
Yeah, of course,
literature. You understand the mentality.
You're right.
More languages you know, better you are as a person. Imagine these children of studying in the school where there are 45 nationalities and visiting the parents, going to a birthday party of, I don't know, an Indian community birthday party, learning about the culture,
The traditions
not
and
from
the-
books, but from
Actually
communication.
experiencing it yourself. No, you're absolutely
It's
right.
so good.
With 6 languages, you don't even need to study. It's like
You can, yeah, you can be useful in any business.
in any business, and in any part of the government. So you've successfully built one of the strongest business networks in the island, and you brought together more than 6,000 professionals. What do you think is the secret to creating meaningful, long-lasting business relationships in Cyprus?
Cyprus is at the edge of Asia and Europe. So geographically, we are in Asia. Politically, we are in Europe. Internationally, we are very
Everywhere.
international. So in Asia, the relationship is different from Europe. When from a Northern Europe, a business person from a Northern Europe comes to Cyprus or elsewhere, he sits and he starts talking business because time is money.
Yeah.
Yes, business. When a person from Asia comes, he starts talking about family, about experiences, because the Asian mentality means that first I need to understand whether you are a good person, whether we are compatible, and then if this works, I'm ready to talk about business. In Cyprus, we combine both, and this is a secret of good relationship. First, you have a community, you talk, and you choose for yourself those people with whom you're on the same wave, and then you make business. And this is a secret of building good relationships. In Cyprus or not, but especially in Cyprus, when there is a small community and more or less we know each other, you have this luxury to choose the business partner based on what you know and whether you like this person.
So interesting because I think it's especially because it's a small place, and you can actually get meaningful evidence and information for pretty much anybody. I think all businesses should realize that they are not only selling the product that they're actually selling, they're selling way more. They're selling a solution, they're selling themselves. So it's important to kind of, when you have a new client or a new business partner, to onboard them in a journey to really learn you, because it's unlike other places that you can do business. It's a place that you can actually have a personal relationship with the other party. And that, I think, it's one thing that, although even the Westerns that you mentioned, that they are more, let's say, used to just strict business, I think they appreciate the ease with which they can get to the, say, decision maker, that I'm having a business partner, but it's easy for me to actually talk to a human being and solve a problem rather than have to follow book rules.
Yes, and answering your question, the secret why I build this relationship and why it's also not to only to build, but to maintain this relationship. And when the person understands and feels, the feeling is important, feels that they really care. I do care. People with whom I work or people who are part of my business network, I know much about them and I remember. Now, when there are thousands, okay, it's difficult to remember the details or the names. I'm trying to write down something, but in general, I remember our conversations. And usually, did you notice when you remember about conversations about person, you don't remember words, you remember how you felt?
Yes.
You're right.
Did you like
Yes.
this person?
Right.
Was it a nice conversation? Did you have this warmth inside? You don't remember what you were talking about.
That's very true. That is very true. I saw that you had recently an event in Larnaca, if I'm not mistaken, the other day, and I was talking about it with Sarah, who was there, and
We had Sarah on
we had
the
Sarah on the
previous
podcast.
season of the podcast. Yes.
Yeah, and she was telling me about the work that you guys doing, and that is, it's quite remarkable. I personally didn't have the chance yet to attend one of the events, but it's one of the things that I want to join, because it looks quite interesting. And I'm not gonna lie that in the beginning I thought that it was mostly for Russian speaking people, and I was like, I would love to go, but then again, conversation that you raised about language, it will be difficult for me to actually fully grasp what it's about. And it wasn't until relatively recently that I realized that it can be quite international as well.
Yes, it can be. Look, my transformation in the terms of nationalities, languages happened during COVID.
Okay.
Before that, my clients were Cypriots, my readers were Russians.
Okay.
So I divided it. And only some international events, because Vesni Kipra, the newspaper, was always a center in Limassol, organizing some events. So we had this children festival and other events where international community comes. So my international community was always about events as such, investment congress, legal conference, health and beauty forum, but not about my personal communication. Okay, business, Cypriots, Russians. When COVID happened, and we were sitting at home, all of us, I was sitting in the office, I could not at home. I was thinking what to do because no income, no advertising, businesses are closed, no advertising. I have a Frontisterio educational center. It was locked, locked physically because children could not go there. Events were banned. Flights did not exist, so my consulting business did not work. And I was sitting and thinking, okay, what is left? How to earn money? Because I had at the time 22 employees, so 22 salaries to pay with zero income. And I realized that the only thing that has value is what you ask me about the contacts. I started to count how many people I know. So legal conference, how many lawyers I know. I put them in the Excel file. Health and Beauty Forum, how many people I know, and industry by industry. I realized that about 6,000, but it's impossible to keep relationship with 6,000 people.
Of course.
If even one person a day in 6,000 days,
Yeah.
yes, you start over. Not realistic. So what I did, I created a private business club. I called to my major friends and clients. I said, listen, I need to survive. I have the salaries to pay. I need to do something. What if you will pay me once a year and I will introduce you to people? I know 6,000 people. We will definitely find someone that will be good
It's
for
relevant. Yeah.
you. And I need to say, and I'm so thankful to those who supported me in 2020. I didn't have any even single no.
Mhm.
Everyone was saying how much you need. So they were helping me to save the business. The newspaper is still alive because of them. And I was helping them to develop network. And it was their first private business club in Cyprus because I wanted to make something different. Based on my profession, I am the member of many business organizations, association of this, association of that, because it's my work to talk to people. But in the business organizations or in such big structures like Federation of Employers or Chamber of Commerce, it's too big. And all the decisions are taken very slowly.
Yes.
And when you have thousands of members or even hundreds of members, you don't know what each specific person is about.
Yeah.
I wanted to make something different. I just wanted a private business club where I know everyone. But in order to provide these people with new contacts, I needed somehow to resume my communication with other people. So I created a group in LinkedIn. And I said, okay, whomever I meet from these 6,000 I know, one person, two, I will add to the group. So today, literally today, we reached this milestone of 900 people. What it means? It means that since 2020, I had about 1,500 meetings in one-to-one format. I was adding them to the group, and those people who didn't have time to communicate, who did not want to meet, I was deleting them from the group, adding more people. And then I have a group of 900 active people.
Active people.
Nice.
So the meeting in Larnaca was my new effort to meet all the group members in person again, but not one by one, impossible, in small groups.
Yeah.
So I decided, I'm writing like 20 people, 25 messages, and I'm saying, okay, in Larnaca, I'm going to be on this day. In Paphos today, it was in Paphos. So today in Paphos, we had 17 people from my private group. I met them in person, so it's about relationships.
Yeah.
I maintained my relationship with them, but they did not know each other. They live in your tiny Paphos, and they did not know each other.
Were they from the same, let's say, industry or not necessarily?
No.
Not necessarily. Could be.
No, and I was so happy that today we had so many nationalities. We were 17 people of 10 nationalities.
Nice.
Imagine.
Impressive.
So I was so happy that for many of them, it was the first time they met. They were chatting. I was running here for our podcast. I was already a little bit in a hurry. I could not kick them out because they really enjoyed the conversation. And that's what I'm doing. I counted. I need 45 meetings like this to bring all 900 people to refresh a relationship with 900 people. So each meeting is about 20 people. And I think in this format, is better than a big conference
You're right.
because somebody will introduce you to new people. So I'm telling Kyriakos does this, Alexandros does that. So I'm telling us about everyone, giving like 30 seconds introduction. And then because I know everyone for years, I can help them to find common interest.
And it's always so much easier even for you to remember what everybody does, because imagine going to a massive conference, maybe you speak to 150 people, the chances are that you will hardly remember one or two that made you feel something different, as you very well said earlier, than the rest.
And you know, the photo is important. I started to pay photographer every meeting because I noticed that if we have professional photos and people are smiling, they are relaxed, I'm sending these photos to them immediately after they are ready, they post them online, then they remember the
Yes.
names,
Yes.
they remember the feeling, and they build relationship with these people easier because they have common positive memories.
I was actually very impressed with your knowledge about Cypriot history.
True.
And I know that you recently published books highlighting the Cyprus's presidential history. What motivated you to document these stories, and what did you learn from this process?
And if I may, how was it working with politicians from Cyprus?
Not just politicians, presidents.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, when I decided to make a PhD, it was an interesting experience. They called me. They said, "Listen, we have an opportunity to send you to study free of charge in Russia because there is no one who claimed the PhD scholarship. There is a scholarship of PhD, and it's one of the best universities in Russian Federation. But it was given to a Cypriot. I have Cypriot citizenship, and nobody claimed it." I said, "Okay, yes, I want to have." And I came there, and the PhD scholarship was for political studies. Okay, I'm not a politician and I don't want to be. So I was sitting with the scientist there, with the dean of the department there, and I was explaining to her that, listen, the whole life I work with politicians. I don't like politics. It was by chance. Yes, I want to study, but I don't like the subject at all. And she was talking to me, and we found out one interesting thing which I did not realize. I'm the only Russian speaking person in the world who knew in person 6 Cyprus presidents out of 8. So she said, okay, but this is a unique experience. No one else had this privilege. Why not to write about this? And I said, okay, what I can write about them? If I will express political views, it will be like this foreigner came and teach us how to live. I don't want, I need to stay in Cyprus. I don't want anyone to be upset with me expressing some scientific opinions, but in politics.
Yeah.
And we found that angle that made me happy, and I was happily working 3 years. She said, okay, you like them as human beings, yes? Write about their biographies and compare, answer some scientific questions. Question number 1, does it matter from what family you are? Does it give you equal chances to become the president of Cyprus if you are from a shepherd family, or if your father was a teacher, or if your father was a policeman, or your father was a builder? These are the professions of fathers of our presidents, doctor and lawyer. Yes, so, okay, one question. Second, does it matter where you studied to become president? Do you need to study in a specific country, or do you need to learn a specific subject? That was the second question. The third question, what qualities you need to have to become the president of this specific country? Is it different from a president of France, president of United States, president of Russia, or any other country? So it was a very interesting work, and
Sounds like it's very
I was
interesting.
trying to avoid the problematic areas of politics and expressing views. So what I did, I wrote comparing their biographies, but not by my research or work. I took more than 60 interviews from people who knew them. from their family members, their personal friends, their ministers. So they gave me interviews. I just put everything together and I analyzed it. And my PhD was written like this. And when I had all this information, it was pity not to publish books.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
last year, I was celebrating 1/4 of a century in Cyprus, 25 years. And I thought that the best present I can do to this country is to publish books about their presidents, because by that time, I knew already that we do not have in Cyprus biographical books about presidents. There are autobiographies every
Yes.
president wrote.
Yes. Yes.
But so far, before my books and before I wrote them, there were no biographical books.
I didn't know
So,
that.
yeah,
It's very interesting.
I didn't know as well. It was my subject of my PhD, so I found out.
Many of you think about the perception of Cypriots towards politics and their politicians, especially after they are not in power. It kind of not surprises me now that you mention it, because I think what I find is that Cyprus being a young nation itself means that Cypriots are also young in this subject as well. And although they were exposed historically to so many different people and ways of living, etc., themselves, they had to, as you very well said earlier, redefine themselves, their countries, and their ideology quite a few times, even if you consider the last 55 years that they are a nation. So it's actually, yeah, it's very interesting to think of it. So what is basically, is there anything out of this process that was like very, interesting, or that like when you realized that it kind of helped you appreciate maybe more the Cypriots, or was it like a series of things that became apparent?
The conclusion was that the most important is the personality, personal qualities, charisma. And it does not matter from what family you are, it doesn't matter what education you had. You need to be determined, you need to love your country, but also you need to be able to communicate it to people and to people around you so they will support you.
And that was consistent throughout the presidency. So it wasn't changing with time.
Even President Papadopoulos, who was an introvert and he was not a public person, if you will see his TV statements or whatever, he was trying to avoid them.
Kind of shy.
So the presidents were very, very different. Still, the most important is how you communicate your views and what respect you have from the people around you. He was highly respected from everyone because he knew more than every of the ministers knew about that specific ministry and this specific ministry, because he was really very deep into knowledge. There were some people who were public people like President Vasiliou, who was loved by all the people, and he was loved by all political parties and views, because they obviously saw that his 5 years he was working for the country, not for himself, not for a specific party, for the whole country. It's very important. They are so different, but they were, each of them, efficient presidents in their terms. It's interesting. I can talk hours. I mean, it took me 3 years to research, and
and I
it's
wouldn't
time
ask
to write
you
books. Yes, so
I think you know Cypriot history more than any Cypriot.
I wouldn't say more than any. You cannot imagine how many
More than
interesting,
most.
how many interesting people I met, historian and those people who lived through it. It's interesting. You mentioned about 60, 65 years of modern history. So these people are still alive. So they lived from the point of view of a struggle for independence until today. So they saw these changes. They're privileged to live in this time and to see the modern history. It's very interesting.
It is, and sometimes I sit down with my grandmother and I ask her, like, how on earth do these people from that era keep it together? Because I mean, never mind if you are now in your 80s, right? You saw technologically many changes. So now imagine that you are in Cyprus as well, that also saw a lot of socioeconomic changes within the past 60, 65 years, to the point that people didn't have toilets inside their houses. And now
they didn't have power.
Yeah,
in the house.
and
they
now
have electricity.
There's a so
very rapid development.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and it's not trivial. It's not easy to kind of even keep it together on the human level, but also on the society and economy level, to be able, as you very well said, to actually find a way to be flexible enough to keep pushing forward. And imagine now Paphos, for example, having more than almost 40% of its citizens not being Greek Cypriots, how difficult it is to be able to change in such a short period of time. Because it's an interesting place that although as a nation is young in terms of history,
It's old.
it's quite old. And we see other examples of places that they're not so eager to kind of change
Or
their
adapt,
ways
yeah.
or adapt. Yeah.
Very interesting conversation. I want a closing remark from you. So looking ahead, how do you see the role of media, networking clubs and business communities evolving in Cyprus? And what's next for you? What's your next project?
Media is changing. I'm a publisher for so many years. I remember when I was taking a disc because internet could not allow us to send the newspaper, and driving with this disc to Nicosia, giving it to the printers. So and waiting until they will print the newspaper in a few hours. And now with all these changes in social media and rapid development, so media transformation was very, very fast. And it is transformed. Did you notice that every one of us became media itself because
Yeah.
you publish in social media, and now we're making the podcast, three of us, and so on. So we produce content continuously. But what was the result? People who are bombarded from different sources with a lot of news and a lot of information stopped understanding this information, and their attention span is seconds.
Yeah.
They say now six.
Yeah.
6
Three.
seconds. Three already.
3 seconds.
Good. 3 seconds. So what you need to do to grab their attention? The traditional media cannot compete.
Yeah.
All right. So what traditional media and one of the publishers can do is to produce news, but to produce quality news, you need time. And this news is already published everywhere on the internet. You are late. You're continuously late if you are a traditional media. The only secret is to go deeper.
Right.
To double check the information, not to publish anything false, because in social media you can have whatever. And now with AI, they can produce videos, photos that you're not going to distinguish from the real one. So people stop noticing where is the fake news and where is the real news. People do not know what to believe. And this is a new transformation of media. Not everyone noticed yet that the media now should select news, not to rush to publish everything which is happening, but to select the most important and to deliver to its readers less news. But the reader should know if this news is delivered, it means it's true news, it happened, and it has a comment of an expert. So this is an evolution of media now. What I'm planning to do, Vestnik Kipra still exists. We are the only Russian newspaper that works with the Russian community, Russian-speaking community. I always underline those who speak Russian and understand Russian. In Cyprus now, we have 100,000 people approximately who speak Russian. So we work for them. That's one. We still kept a number of events, but as a publisher or as a person, I'm not interested anymore in big events because in Cyprus we have so many. As a media sponsor, I think it's a matter of respect to attend every event that we support. I cannot anymore because there are 2 or 3 events
Too
a day.
many, yeah.
Too many. So even free of charge, you cannot get people to attend your event, never mind ask them to pay. So the event is too competitive. We're not going to increase this number. For myself, I found a way of this business club, one-to-one communication and helping in business development that works for me as a person. But for my clients or my business club members, another ability that I have works well, ability to see opportunities. I always see them in everything. Now I see a big opportunity that Cyprus needs to work with Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan. And last 1 year and a half, I work with Armenia. I built a relationship of my club members with Armenia. So for 18 months, We already know 5 different clubs in Armenia. We work with them. They come here. We go there. Now I just came from Kazakhstan. I see the prospects. I see that Kazakhstan is so well organized in the level of government. Pleasure to work with them. And so early stage in the private business that Cypriot professionals have a lot of chances to become consultants and to teach Kazakh people the same thing that they were teaching Russians when Soviet Union collapsed. So in this respect, Kazakh people, they're very advanced in technologies, in organization, but in international business, they're not. And Cyprus can become that bridge, which is geographically in Asia, as I said, but politically in Europe. So Kazakhstan is my next destination. Last maybe a year, I'm working on this project, and maybe 2 years more, I will seriously work on this. The next country is Uzbekistan. It's not as developed as Kazakhstan, but also very promising. So that's my international activity, and that's what, as a person, I'm planning to do.
Alexandros said about the closing remark, but to be honest with you, it's very pleasing. Why? Because you mentioned a few things: AI, change world, Cyprus landscape, and it's becoming very apparent how important it is to change the skill set that we teach children. Because the educated man of tomorrow has nothing to do with, it's not the same as the educated man of today. The skill set that you will need now in the age of AI is different. And I'm very glad to see people like you that they appreciate this, they see opportunity, and they saw the history of Cyprus media and other stuff to be able to teach. Because you mentioned that it's one of the things that you do, of the 1,000 things that you do. So it's from my side, it's very interesting to see how actually you can achieve effective education of today's young adults or kids. Why? Because I simply don't believe that anyone in the world still knows the best way to give those skill set, because we don't even know them yet. In the age of AI, the world is changing so rapidly that
whatever we know today, tomorrow might not be.
Yeah, we cannot keep up, actually.
Which is always the case, but I think now the pace is a bit
scary.
Fast.
So, to summarize and to finish our podcast, I would need to say that we need to learn daily and to be able to adapt. That's how we started the conversation, to be flexible, to adapt very quickly, and not to be afraid, not to have fears, to change something in our business, in our life tomorrow if the situation is changing. So, to go with the flow.
To thank you very much for being here. I'm going to ask you, how was it being asked the questions for once and not asking them?
Yes, it was an interesting experience. For 26 years, I'm asking the questions.
So that was the first time?
No, of course not, but it was a relief, so I can answer the question.
Perfect.
And I really enjoyed our communication.
Perfect. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Thank you for being here.
These are for you.
Alright.
Something to remember us by, Domenica, and the podcast.
Thank you.
Again, thank you for your time on our tight schedule. Thank you, everyone, for watching us, and we're going to see you on the next episode.